And welcome to Casual Learning. I'm your host, John Bannon. Today I'm going to start a series of videos outlining the different chapters of my newest book entitled Superdeterminism Defeats Atheism: How Physics Disproves Atheistic Ideology. This book is available on Amazon Kindle. It's very moderately priced. I suggest you get a copy and read it. The cover is a picture taken by the James Webb Telescope of a galaxy merger that happens to look like a question mark. So the point of this cover is to ask, well, is God in the universe? Is he in this pitch black darkness of the universe or not? And the answer is obviously, well, there wouldn't be a question mark there if he wasn't. So this book relies on a version of superdeterminism proven by a Swedish theoretical physicist in 2020. His name was or is Dr. Johan Hansen. He published an article in a physics journal called Physics Essays, volume 33, number 2, in June of 2020, entitled Bell's Theorem and Its Tests: Proof that Nature is Superdeterministic, Not Random. Now, you can find this on the internet pretty readily. It's a short proof, it's about 3 pages long. But it's a very interesting and important proof. And it is a proof. It says it right in the title. What Dr. Hansen proved using Einstein's theory of special relativity and what is already known about the correlations of spin measurements in quantum entanglement, that basically this one simple truth: so this is true. Dr. Hansen proved that the universe is a predetermined static block universe without continuous causation in physics. Now, the first part of this truth talks about that the universe is a static block universe. Now, this is taken from Einstein's theories of general and special relativity. So this concept has been known for over 100 years. There's issues with regard to the conflict between quantum mechanics and relativity that has yet to be resolved. But this concept of a static block universe is well known. What Dr. Hansen did that was different was he provided a proof for why this second part is true: that continuous causation in physics is not real. Now, that would be a startling thing to know for most people, because most people believe that causation is real, that what happened to you 5 minutes ago caused what's happening to you now. It turns out that that's not true. Now, there's some explanation that goes along with that, but fundamentally, causation in time is not a real thing. So, what makes Dr. Hansen's version of superdeterminism super is that it gets rid of continuous causation. in physics. That is an assumption of Bell's theorem, and this is what Dr. Hansen uses to get out of Bell's inequalities. So it's not that surprising, actually, that continuous causation in physics is not real. If you know anything about Einstein's block universe, you realize that Einstein believed that our experience of time was an illusion of the block universe. Well, if time is an illusion of the block universe, or at least our experience of time is an illusion, then it's not a giant leap to suggest that cause and effect in time are also illusions. And Dr. Hansen actually proves it. So, this concept of the block universe is one that I use an analogy to a cosmic flip book. So, if you ever uh, seen a flip book before, it's got a bunch of pages in it, and there's some drawing on the edge of it. And as you flip through the pages, you can see that the drawing moves. The person's doing something, but that's only because the person is drawn in different positions on each page. And as you go through the pages, it looks or it appears as if the person is moving, even though the person isn't really moving. There's static drawings of that person. Um, so the block universe is kind of like that. The biggest difference is that in a block universe, the pages don't move; they're static, uh, but they're what I would call hyperplanes of space time or frozen moments in time. And if you stack all these frozen moments of time together, you can get an appearance of motion through time or an illusion of the experience of time. So the block universe, Einstein's block universe, says there's four dimensions. There's the three dimensions of space that we're all familiar with: length, width, height. And then there's the dimension of time. The dimension of time you can't really see because you're only in one moment of it. You don't see the rest of it. But that's the idea of a block universe. So block universe has all these slices in it. You're only in one of them at a given time. But when you combine all the slices together, it acts like you're actually experiencing motion or cause and effect in time. But the hyperplanes themselves, or the pages essentially in that flip book, are actually timeless physical realities in the dimension of time. They're timeless because they create your experience of time. They're not based on time, they don't require any objective time in order to exist. They're timeless physical realities. Um, so, uh, Dr. Hansen makes a very simple statement about the truth of the universe, and that is that there's no continuous causation in physics. But that simple little fact has profound implications on whether God exists and whether a lot of the atheistic ideology that we're taught in secular society is true or not. That one simple little truth can disprove all atheistic ideology. So it's a very important thing for you to know. And it's also important to know that it was proven. It was proven. Now, there are plenty of uh, people who will try to object to this proof on various grounds, mostly having to do with quantum mechanics and its relationship with relativity. But Dr. Hansen's proof, I can assure you, gets past every objection. Unlike the original version of superdeterminism, which has some problems explaining things, Dr. Hansen's proof sails past every objection I've ever heard. So you can take his proof to the bank. It is true. It is a truth about our universe, and it's a very important truth for you to understand. Now, um, the original version of superdeterminism relies on something called causal hidden variables. So, what it's saying is that the correlation seen in quantum entanglement are actually caused from events in the past. And those causal events can be traced all the way back to the Big Bang. And that's what explains the uncanny correlations seen in quantum entanglement. Um, One of the objections to that sort of theory is it sounds very conspiratorial. You need somebody to create the universe at the very beginning to correlate all these causes so that quantum correlations in the future could work out the way they do. Whereas Dr. Hanson's proof doesn't rely on hidden causal variables, doesn't rely on causation at all. In fact, it denies that cause and effect in time is a real thing. So it gets past that whole objection. There's no conspiracy theory in Dr. Hanson's version of superdeterminism at all. So it's a very, very good, clean proof. Now, that doesn't mean there's going to be a lot of scientists who don't like it. And the main reason they're not going to like it is because they're not used to the idea at all. This is a very shocking idea to most scientists who have all assumed, like the rest of us, that causation is a real thing. Because we experience causation every day, so we think it's real. But it's actually an illusion. Um, so, for instance, this whole time, you've been experiencing the superdeterministic universe without even realizing it. So, if you think back to past memories in your life, those are actually memories of the times that you appeared in earlier hyperplanes in the dimension of time of the block universe. And if you think about any moment of time that you've experienced, if you try to, chop it into smaller and smaller segments of time in your mind, you see that what you end up with is basically a freeze frame of existence, a single moment of time where nothing moves. And that's analogous to a hyperplane of space-time. So in your own experience, you can see how a static block universe without continuous causation in physics can, in fact, be true. It's exactly what you're experiencing. It's just that you're under an illusion, so uh, you don't directly observe it or see it. It took a genius like Einstein to figure out that that was what was actually going on in the universe. A word about quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement is a known phenomenon where two entangled subatomic particles, let's say photons, um, are separated by any distance whatsoever. And when you measure the spin of one, the spin of the other one will always be the exact opposite. So the big question in physics is, well, how can the one know what the other's spin is in order to correlate as an exact opposite, regardless of how far apart you spread the two entangled photons? Even further apart than speed of light communication would even allow one to know what the other spin was going to be. So this is a big mystery, and it's what it is it's non-local phenomenon. It doesn't appear locally. It could one photon could be on one side of the galaxy and the other one on the other side, and you measure the spin of one, you automatically know what the spin of the other one's going to be without any need for communication between the two. So Dr. Hanson's version of superdeterminism is an explanation for how that occurs without some sort of faster than like communication between the photons. And his answer is it's all predetermined. The spins were predetermined. We live in a static predetermined universe, and that's what those spins are uncovered to be. So that's his solution. It's a very good solution, and he can prove it. So what's important to know about Dr. Hanson's proof is he's using Einstein's special theory of relativity, namely the relativity of simultaneity, and he's applying it to these spin correlations seen in entangled particles. And he's proving through that continuous causation in physics can't be real. Rather, it has to be a predetermined uh, universe with that's a static block and that does not have continuous causation in physics. Now, you can call it continuous causation, you can call it discrete causation, but the idea is that uh, A causes B. So a minute ago is the cause of B, the present moment. Um, so that idea of flow in causation. Uh, you know, a lot of people think that you have to have causation or continuous causation in physics in order to have time or the arrow of time. That is, time always seems to proceed in one direction towards the future, not back. But that's actually false. The same thing can be accomplished with a Einsteinian static block universe without continuous causation in physics. It's just an illusion, like a flip book, a cosmic flip book. And Dr. Hanson's version of superdeterminism gets past a lot of objections that derive from quantum mechanics, for instance. So Dr. Hanson's version doesn't rely on time reversal or retrocausality. Um, that can be problematic with quantum mechanics, but since he doesn't rely on an actual causal chain going through time, whether forward or backwards, because causation isn't real. Rather, he's relying on an appearance of causation or an ordered appearance that one thing causes another, even though it really doesn't. Uh, to make his proof, he gets out of a lot of these objections that some people make. So it's not really hard to understand how causation could not be a real thing. Um, so, for instance, if you think about a cosmic flip book and you got, say, three different hyperplanes of space time, time is flowing this way. Here's a picture of you advancing in time through those hyperplanes of space time as you experience the illusion of time. These hyperplanes, they don't cause each other, and they don't need to cause each other in order for this experience of time, this illusion, to occur in the dimension of time. So it's not that hard to believe that physical reality or the universe doesn't actually have continuous causation in physics in it. If it's a static block universe that's like this, these frames don't need to cause each other. They just need to be abutting or intersecting. That's it. They just need to be next to each other. So this is not that surprising that continuous causation in physics is an illusion. However, it is little known. Very few people know about Dr. Hanson's proof. It just came out in 2020, and very few people know that continuous causation in physics is not real. So that little fact, uh, which is scientifically provable, makes all the difference in the world when it comes to proving the existence of God and disproving atheistic ideology. Okay, so I'll be back with chapter one, which is entitled Atheistic Ideology, where I'll go through the different points of basic atheism and what they believe. All right, take care, everybody.